Revolution Pot 17. Even during the years of exile, Khomeini remained relevant to Iran, supporting the protest from beyond Iran's borders. He proclaimed that freedom and liberation from the bonds of imperialism was imminent. The Surah and Ashura marches 10th and 11th of December. As the days of the Su'a and Ashura, 10th 11th December, approached to prevent a deadly showdown, the Shah began to draw back in negotiations with Ayatollah Shariat Madari. The Shah ordered the release of 120 political prisoners and Karim Sanjabi. On 8 December, revoked the ban on street demonstrations. Permits were issued for the marches. Permits were issued for the marchers. Troops were removed from the procession's path. In turn, Shariat Madari pledged that to make sure that there would be no violence during the demonstrations. On 10th and 11th of December 1978, the days of the Su'a and Ashura, between 6 and 9 million anti-Shah demonstrations marched throughout Iran. According to one historian, even discounting for the exaggeration, these figures may represent the largest protest ever, the largest protest event in the history of the world. The marches were led by Ayatollah Talegani, the National Front leader Karim Sanjabi, thus symbolizing the unity of the secular and religious opposition. The mullahs and the bazaris effectively policed the gathering, and protesters who attempted to initiate violence were restrained. More than 10% of the countries marched in anti Shah demonstrations on 2 days, the 10th and 11th of December 1978, possibly a higher percentage than any previous revolution. It is rare for a revolution to involve as much as 1% of country's population. The French, the Russian, and the Romanian revolutions may have passed the 1% mark only, so it was quite different. As we continue talking about the revolution, late 1978 and early 1979, much of the Iranian society was in a euphoria about coming revolution. Secular and leftist politicians piled onto the movement seeking to gain power in aftermath, ignoring the fact that Khomeini was the very antithesis to all of the positions they supported. While it was increasingly clear to more secular Iranians that Khomeini was not a liberal, he was widely perceived as a figurehead, and that power would eventually be handed over to the secular groups. Well, there was demoralization of the army in December 1978. The military leadership was increasingly paralyzed by indecision, and rank and file soldiers were demoralized, having been forced to confront demonstrators while prohibited from using their own weapons, and began condemned by the Shah if they did. And they were being condemned by the Shah if they ever tried to contain the protesters. Increasingly, Khomeini called on the soldiers of the armed forces to defect to the opposition. The revolutionaries gave flowers and civilian clothes to the deserters while threatening retribution to those who stayed. On 11 December, a dozen officers were shot dead by their own troops at Tehran's Levizan barracks. Fearing further mutinies, many soldiers were returned to their barracks. Mashhad, the second largest city in Iran, was abandoned to the protesters, and in many provincial towns, demonstrations were effectively in control. American and international negotiations with the opposition went on in late December 1978. Carter administration found it a wonderful opportunity to dent Shah's authority over Iran.